When I first started writing fan fiction, I thought it would be all fun and games. And for a while, it was. That's until my story started getting a bit of attention, more than usual. And I started to experience things that made me question if I wanted to even keep posting fan fiction at all. So that's when I realized that there's a side of being a fanfic writer that no one talks about. So if you are an aspiring writer wanting to know what you may be getting yourself into before you dive into the world of creating fan fiction, or just an experienced writer who appreciates real, honest conversations discussing our experience as writers, then this is the video for you. Hi, I'm April, and welcome to my archives. On this channel, I talk about writing, fan fiction, and the real experience that comes with being a creative person in general, especially the parts that people don't always talk about. In my last video, I talked about the overall experience of being a fanfic writer and what I wish readers knew about fanfic writers. But after reading a bunch of responses from that video, I realized that there's a deeper side to this that deserves its own conversation. So let's talk about it. Let's start from the beginning first. Maybe you're a lifelong fanfic reader and you love fanfiction so much that one day you decide that you want to write your own, right? Maybe you didn't see any fanfiction in your fandom, or the fandom didn't exist at all within the fanfiction space, and you wanted to create something. You wanted to create something of your own. You wanted to contribute, right? That's where we all start, really. That's how I began. I began because I didn't see the type of fic that I wanted to read anymore. I read so many great ones, and I was like, okay, I guess it's my turn. So it starts off fun, right? It starts off fun. It starts off free. You write more freely in the beginning. I think when I first started, before I posted any of my chapters, I was writing for a week. Like, I was creating the story structure and the plot. And, I wasn't really educated on how to write a successful story. It was just coming from my brain. And that's the most like beautiful thing about fan fiction is like you don't have to be a expert writer. You kind of learn as you go. And some of us are lucky where it kind of turns out well. And others we kind of like, we flourish more later on. But regardless, you're going to find people who want to read your story, right? So we start off freely, it's all fun, like there's so much excitement, there's so much dopamine, and then you get to the point of posting and you get so excited, right? You get so excited just for yourself, like just for you and not for any potential comments or any potential like praise. It's just like you do this for you at first because it's like your baby, right? Like our creations that we put out into the world, and this includes writing and fan fiction, it's like our baby. We created, we literally created, and we're like putting it out there, and it could be so freaking exciting and just like it feels magical. I'm not trying to get all mushy, but like my experience with being a baby fanfic writer was just so sweet. So you start off there, right? And then you get your first comment. You get a bunch of kudos, right? You start seeing that people actually are paying attention to your fanfic. You start seeing that people are like slowly giving you a bit of love. And it's like the cherry on top. You didn't really ask for it. At least in my experience when I started, I didn't do it for the comments. I did it because I was like, wow, I didn't know I had this like power to create a whole world and play with these characters and just do what I want to do and be able to experience that while writing, while reading. And then other people come along and they start experiencing that. Like they see what you're seeing, they see what you've been putting out. And they start saying stuff. And I think initially the comments are like really supportive. They're like, wow, this is great. Like, thank you for posting. When's the next chapter? They're very supportive, and you start to feel seen. You start to be like, oh, so not only do I like it, other people actually like this a lot too. So you go through that phase in the beginning, and then things start to shift a little bit. I noticed that the more attention that my stories got, the more things started to feel a little funny, a little different. And not always the good kind of different. I'm going to call this the dark side of fan fiction. I know it sounds a little bit scary and a little bit dramatic, but it's actually a real experience that us writers see once our fics start getting more attention. The first thing is the pressure to update. Not only you're getting the pressure to update from readers, but it's also coming from yourself, right? Whether it's because you're just trying to be consistent in writing the story, or you're seeing the comments and it's affecting how you feel about your update schedule. You have people constantly asking, when's the next chapter? Next chapter? When are you going to update? And what I want to say about this is not a bad thing, right? I never want it to seem like readers asking questions or wanting more from you is inherently a bad thing. Like, we all do it. We've all done it as readers in the comments of our favorite fanfic writers. However, on our side, it could feel like a lot of pressure because you can be trying your best to keep a consistent update schedule, and life happens, or maybe you're still learning how to plan your writing, space out your posting. Like, there's a lot of scheduling and thought and effort that comes with updating your fix. So it could be like an internal thing where you feel like you need to do better, you need to keep up, and you end up feeling like you owe your readers and yourself consistency. And I'm just going to say, you don't owe anybody anything. What you feel like you owe yourself is different, right? You have to have a conversation with yourself about, is this posting schedule sustainable for me? Am I editing too much or writing too much and it's taking longer to post? Am I being a perfectionist? Because look, I am a A1 perfectionist, so I know how it feels. I've literally like worked on one chapter for weeks because I wanted it to be perfect. Like, I had it in my brain, the more people that saw me and the more people that wanted to read, that meant I had to level up. That meant I had to step up my game. And that would create a lot of pressure on me internally and externally from my readers, whether they knew it or not. I don't think they actually did it on purpose, but it can. It's just the reality of it. So we end up turning something fun, something like precious and pure, it feels like, our metaphorical baby, we end up turning that into an obligation. Right? We do that with a lot of hobbies and a lot of other things we like too. We end up turning a lot of things in our life into obligations. And that sucks when our fan fiction becomes an obligation instead of a creative outlet. And when it happened to me, it stopped feeling like I wanted to write and started feeling like I had to. And there's a big difference between those two different feelings. Okay, this one may cause a rift for some people because a lot of readers watch these fanfic videos, but as writers, we need to talk about the entitlement that comes with your readers. Not all of them, right? Not all of them, but a good majority of them. We discussed this in my last video, but there are readers who see your fan fiction as a product, as a piece of entertainment that they can consume and critique and even demand. I like to think of it as like the customer service experience where, anybody who works in customer service, they know how it feels to be on the other side of that counter and how things actually work and not having full control over things. And just like they're trying to survive, they're trying to do their best. And then there's the customer, which is the reader in this scenario. And the customer only sees what they can get from you. They come because they want a specific thing and they want to order that from you. They want to get it from you and they want to be satisfied. However, this is not customer service, okay? Fan fiction is not a customer service experience. Again, we don't get paid. We shouldn't get paid. It's not about money. Our time, energy, effort, cognitive load, mental capacity. It's more about all of that as writers that readers do not see an experience, but they treat it as something that they are entitled to get from you. So you have them like demanding specific outcomes, being like, when is this going to happen? When is that going to happen? Some people get upset with the characters, and not in a way where a character does something stupid or they make a weird decision and the reader is commenting on it. I've had people in my comments being like, she's such a dumb, like, I can't stand this reader. Like, why would she do this? Like, this is so stupid, right? There's a difference between somebody being like, girl, she is tripping. And then you have those crazy people who come in the comments and they just start giving lots of negative energy off. And then as a writer, you're like, whoa, like, I didn't know it was that serious. And if they go even further and be like, you should have did this or you should have done that, then they're basically telling you how to write your own story. And my answer to that always is, well, maybe you should start writing. Maybe you should begin your own fic if you want things to be a certain way, because nobody should be telling a fanfic writer how to write their own story. At that point, you need to sit down and write your own, because that's what we all did when we didn't see when we didn't see things going the way that we wanted to in TV shows and books and movies and just like other fan fiction. Like, we saw stuff, we got inspired and we're like, I would like it to go this way. Let's write this. We didn't go to somebody else's creative work and start like badgering them about how bad it was and changing things, right? Because who does that? A psychopath? A spoiled brat? I mean, let's just be honest here. So you have people acting like they own your story and like you owe them to write the way that they want you to, because they're here and they're reading your story. And that's not how it works. Some people forget that fan fiction is still your creative work, our creative work. This is not a service. This is not something you can leave unsolicited critiques on. This is me and my imagination and my desires and my creative outlet. And if you don't like it, you can leave and find so many other writers who you may like their fix more than mine. And that is okay. Another kind of not so great thing that comes with being a fanfic writer is the emotional exhaustion of it all. We try our best. We really do. We try our best to provide the best writing, the best experience we can for readers, right? It starts with us. It starts like, how do we see this thing? What would make us happy? And then other people jump on the bandwagon and then we continue. But then there's, like I said, there's this thing where we feel a little held accountable to make sure our readers are also enjoying what we're writing. I'm not saying that's the correct way to do it. I'm just saying it's a natural thing, right? It's not about attention or keeping people reading. It's about, hey, I don't want to lose this audience. I don't want to lose this community. So, of course, you're going to do your best. It's so natural. So, we're constantly thinking about the story. You have no idea. I don't know if any of you guys have gone through this, but you have no idea how much sleep I have lost because I'm constantly thinking about progressing the story. I'm constantly feeling guilty about not updating frequently. I'm constantly thinking about like new ideas for the story. And for some reason, I get my best ideas when I am half asleep, right? And I have to wake up and write them down or leave a voice note. And it's just so exhausting. Like, my brain's like never turning off, because as writers, like, that's how it is. You use so much of your brain, your energy. And when you massage that writing muscle, that storytelling skill, it's going to kind of like start flourishing when you least expect it. And so you're thinking about this and all other things surrounding it. When you're going to post, you're hoping you're going to post soon, all of that. You're also thinking about the comments. This person said this about that. Oh my God, you got so many comments on this one. Wow, like it kind of shocked you. Or wow, like nobody really cared about that one. Damn, maybe I need to go back and reevaluate my writing because they didn't respond how I thought. And you can't control your reader's response, but I'm just talking about things that naturally comes to our brains. There's no really right or wrong here. It's just like, this is our experience. So you have all of that, and then you get the creative burnout creeping up, right? The creative burnout comes and you're trying to fight against it and you're trying to sit down anyway and write. and you're trying to think positively about stuff, and then you're also like, is something wrong with me? Like, this was fun when I started it. Now it feels really bad. And that's one of the worst feelings ever as a creator, to start something, for fun, for just like some freedom and expression, and then somehow, some way, you don't even know how it happened, but it feels heavy. Maybe it's not full negative energy, but it's just heavy. It's heavy, it's a lot. You're unprepared, you feel overwhelmed, and let's not even get into all the things you're dealing with in your personal life, okay? Work, family, friends, responsibilities, like personal goals, other hobbies. Like, there's so many things trying to like gain your attention and pull you every which way. And then this thing, the writing, the fan fiction, is also becoming a stressful thing. And a lot of times we don't know how to deal with that. Like, I'm just going to be completely honest. It's not something like people teach you about. It's not something that you even expect. That's why I'm creating this video, because I'm like, yeah, we can be honest and we could talk about it like it's normal. And I think the more we discuss these things, the more we can kind of work around those and find like solutions, and be better as writers, be better as readers, and just have better community. But yeah, you're dealing with your own life, and then you have this online pressure, and it's like, I don't really like this. And then you become burned out, okay? Burnout is like such a common thing when it comes to writers, when it comes to creators in general. We start losing excitement, we start losing motivation, inspiration. And first we try to like force ourselves to just like sit down and do it and write, and just like just do better, just do better, right? And we end up actually like avoiding writing because of that, because like, why would you want to write when people are demanding things of you, and you're not able to post consistently, and you're dealing with all kinds of other things in the rest of your life? So this naturally leads to burnout. And burnout isn't even a thing that like you have, until like you've been deep into it for like days, weeks, months. When you realize, oh, I'm not doing this because I am so burnt out. It's because you haven't set boundaries with people on the internet, your readers and their comments and stuff like that. It's because you haven't like really set boundaries with yourself and how you like go about writing and stuff like that, right? You're just kind of like on default and expect everything to work out. And then when it doesn't work out, you get burned out. And then you're like, why? And it's because like you got some stuff to figure out here. It sounds deep, and it's because it is deep. As creators, we are very deep, introspective, highly emotional and empathetic people, where we can feel everything and anything, and we kind of take it all in, and we don't really know how to deal with it all the time. So it can kind of just shut us down. Burnout. You hate writing. You hate the thought of fan fiction. You feel guilty for not updating. And it just becomes a very vicious cycle. You should not love a creative activity, love writing, love fan fiction, and begin dreading it. When you're in that state of dreading it, that's when girl, take a step back. Take a step back and relax, take a break, and really think about what the issue is here. Because if you don't know the issue, if you don't really think about the uncomfortable issue, then you're not going to be able to like find a way to get through it. Your readers will really appreciate you if you take a break and come back refreshed and giving them your best. You will appreciate you if you take a step back and, figure some things out, and then come back and do your best. We all know that life be lifing. Okay? Life be lifing. And the way that life be lifing, a lot of y'all call the AO3 curse. I'm not gonna lie, when I first heard about the AO3 curse, I was like, what does that mean? I really had to figure out what people meant by that. And I realized that it meant people just thought once you became a fanfic writer, bad things would happen to you. That's the reason you wouldn't update regularly, or you would disappear for months, weeks, years. I thought it was really funny. I actually like the AO3 curse thing. I think a lot of us realize that it's just life happening to us. But I do think some people take it too seriously because they be in the comments like, oh no, not the AO3 curse. I think I got the AO3 curse. And I'm like, you mean that life just lifed? Yeah, things are going to go wrong in real life, right? Things are going to go right in real life. Things are just going to be life. You're going to have delays and your readers, a lot of them understand that. Like I'm speaking from my specific reader base, but they are so kind. I doubt that any of them know that I like do YouTube. But if any of them actually like saw this, I want to say 99% of them are just so freaking sweet. And I could disappear for weeks, months. I'm trying not to 2 years, but they are always just so supportive. So like your readers know this, but at the same time, I've heard stories and I've seen other people's like audience just kind of not really always understand that people cannot like update all the time when they want them to. In my last video, I did see somebody comment about how annoyed they were when their readers would comment something like, hey, when is the next update going to be? But the writer had already communicated in, either like I don't know, a Tumblr update or AO3 author's notes or something, that they were like depressed. They were depressed and they were going through things and they wanted to communicate with their readers like, hey, I want to update and I'm glad you guys are here, but I'm kind of going through something and I need some time. And what I said to them is like, you will have readers. They don't read that. They don't care. They don't read that. I've always been the type of person who read like author's notes and stuff because I was just always curious about like, what fanfic writers had to say or something like that. Like I like hearing from authors and maybe it's because I'm a writer myself, but I always just like seeing their little notes. I think some people just don't. I think some people don't read those at all. And it kind of is wild to me because they're there all the time. How do you skip the author's notes and even the end notes? Like AO3 has end notes. How do you skip those and ignore all the other signs that a writer is telling you? They're telling you the situation. Hey, I won't be updating for a while. This is why. I think it takes a special person to ignore everything around what they actually want to read and then go and message the author and be like, hey, when are you going to update? It's been months. You know how much that could piss us writers off, even when I know their intent probably wasn't bad, like to annoy me or frustrate me or look ignorant. The fact is they are being ignorant. They are not paying attention to anything else but your fic. And there may be people who argue and be like, it's not necessary to do so. And I say, well, you don't think it's necessary to do so. It's not necessary for us to treat you like a child and explain to you because you didn't read everything. You know what I'm saying? I think it's good for me to like be honest with my readers and say, hey, I don't know if you saw this update, but this is how I'm doing and this is why I'm not. I'd appreciate it if you just kind of gave me some time and space and, paid attention a little bit more to my notes to make sure you know what's going on so you don't come to me asking for things that I've already communicated about. And yeah, it can seem kind of awkward, but it's like, you can go about these things the way you want to as a writer. I don't think any way is wrong. Ignoring them, deleting the comment, explaining to them. If you're okay with them saying that, that's fine too. You don't have to be mad, but some people they get annoyed and I think that's also okay. I am all for writers going about their writing and their reader base however they want to, as long as it's like a reasonable, respectful way. And to be honest, we have the power here. Nobody should be bowing down to us or anything like that, but we do have the power. Like we are the creator, we are the writer. And so I want you guys to remember that, readers and writers, when you go about communicating with each other. But anyways, life be lifing. We all have things happen to us. We all have things that make us pause. And so yeah, that's basically the AO3 curse as they call it. And one of the last things I want to talk about is the fear of judgment. This is actually a really big one. I feel like every single writer, or at least a majority of us, deal with a lot of fears when it comes to our fan fiction and our reader base and how people respond to us. We have the fear of getting hateful comments. We've all got hateful comments. If you haven't yet, you know, it'll probably come one day and it'll come when you least expect it. Sometimes it'll be an influx. You'll get like a troll or something that will really mess up your day because they decided to come to your fan fiction and start being very rude about literally everything and anything. In my experience, I have to say that AO3 and Tumblr has been pretty safe. Like, I've gotten the occasional hate comments, but I have to say it's a very low percentage from, all of the positive, encouraging comments or just, people just chilling out. But just because somebody doesn't comment all the time doesn't mean that they are a benevolent reader. When I privated my fan fiction, they got angry and they posted my note about it on the AO3 subreddit. And I was just kind of like, roasted from thousands of people who didn't even know who I was. They didn't add any like details about the story or the author. It was just my note about privating it and about just wanting more engagement because that's what I wanted and that's what I felt like I deserved. It was in like such a normal, positive way. But they were really angry, and I don't even think they left a comment. They just screenshotted it and put it on Hill 3 subreddit, and I should never have looked at that. I did not know it would go that far. That's probably the worst thing that happened to me so far. And if it has happened again, I don't know about it and I really don't because it's just none of my business. None of our business as writers is to be worried about what people think about your creative work. Are you paying for this? No. Do they have a say in this? No. Does their opinion really matter to you? It shouldn't. You didn't begin writing your fic for opinion, so why would you start worrying about opinions now? So then you have that, and people just, they don't do well with hate comments. Some people aren't really like ready for that. They don't deserve that, and they're just not, they don't want to deal with that, and they leave. And it's so sad to see. And there are some of us like me who I'm very stubborn. I'm like, you are not going to stop me from writing. You're not going to stop me from choosing to do what I want with my fan fiction. You're not going to stop me from doing anything. Like, if I make up my mind, I make up my mind. And the rest of my like true reader base, they know it. They appreciate me even taking the time to create the story, to write and post, right? Because they understand. Some readers do not. Then there's the fear of meeting expectations. Earlier, I discussed how there are readers who they start to expect things and they want you to take the story in a direction that they would like versus what you already planned or what you like. And there's the fear of, okay, if you don't do that, like what would be their reaction? Would they stay? Would they, right? It's like a bunch of noise that can paralyze you and it can make you either start writing differently and hating your writing or burn out or just like ghost your fic and leave it unfinished because it's just too much. You start overthinking every decision, every single decision, and you forget that your true readers and yourself, most importantly, will be okay with not pleasing everyone. Your true readers trust you. They trust you. They like your writing already. They like your twist. They like your characters. Regardless of what direction you're going in, they want to stay. They want to stay and they want to see it happen. As writers, we want to say and we want to see it happen. We want to see it be created and we're going to create it. But when you overthink every decision, then you forget what the true direction was. You're like, actually don't know what to do. So you stop writing what you want to see and you start writing what you think people will approve of. And that's just, it never ends well. So honestly, all of this, all of these things that I just talked about, it can make you question if becoming a fan fiction writer is even worth it. But I'm here to tell you that It is. It is so worth it. And you know why it's worth it? Because you're able to have a creative outlet. You're able to have creative freedom. You're able to create your own world, a world that did not exist. No matter how many different AUs and anything like that, any other people's stories in the fandom, yours in your own voice and in your own unique mind will never be the same as somebody else's. And you know how beautiful that is? Like, that is just such a wonderful, like, unique experience to have as a writer. And it translates to other people as well. It's a cherry on top, it's an extra wonderful thing. I don't want any of you to forget why you started, right? Because we can forget why we started, the feelings that we had. You know, in the beginning, I talked about how magical it was, and it is such a magical experience. So, this is what you're going to do. You're going to set boundaries. You're going to decide how you want to interact with your readers, how you want to interact with certain comments in any way, right? Any way that you think is best for you, you're going to do that. Take breaks, okay? You need a week break, fine. You need a 2-week break, fine. You need a month break, fine. You need some months, your readers will still be there. The ones that love you, they will have notifications on. They will get that email with the AO3 update that you posted after like 6 months. You will make their day. They're gonna be like, oh my God. That'll probably even make them comment because they're like, oh, they're back. I wanted to let them know how much I missed them and how much I love their story. So yeah, it's okay to take a break and figure things out and decide if you want to continue or how you want to continue. Be honest with yourself about how you feel about the way you're going about your fan fiction and the direction it's going into, and making sure it's not from pressure of just trying to get something out or pressure of people trying to get you to write a certain way. Make sure it feels as natural as possible. Every moment isn't going to feel perfect, but make sure you just kind of, you know, you do these check-ins with yourself. Write for yourself again. Write for yourself. Pretend your audience isn't even there. Maybe you make a bunch of grammatical mistakes because you just want to get it out and post happy, it's fun, you don't care so much about editing. Do it. That's fine. You ain't selling this. It doesn't matter. You're protecting your creativity by drowning out the noise, by setting boundaries, and by just doing what you feel you need to do. And always, just always remember how you started, because that is how you're going to be able to continue moving forward. And to wrap this up, being a fanfic writer isn't just about writing. It's also about learning how to protect your creativity and your authenticity in a space where people start feeling entitled to it for some reason. Because at the end of the day, your writing is yours. And the moment it stops feeling like that, something has to change. And just remember, you are allowed to take up space as a writer without burning yourself out to keep everyone happy. You are the main one that you need to keep happy. Okay? If you guys enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, tell me all your thoughts in the comments, and if you have any suggestions on other things that you would like for me to discuss around the fanfic space, writing space, creativity space, let me know, because I am creating these videos for you guys and I love talking to you guys and just building this community here on this channel. So yeah, please do not hesitate to let me know. Okay? See you guys later.